So I'm going to kick it off just giving you an overview. And it's a question that I'm going to pose, and you can answer it with an emoji. You can get on camera to give me a thumbs up because love seeing everyone's face this Friday. How many of you have walkable communities? Communities that you're comfortable walking in just for leisure? How many of you? Thumbs up, maybe. Okay, I see thumbs up. I see hands up. Okay, you can hit a, I see a so right there. Okay, I see thumbs up from Craig. So imagine, right? I see a thumbs up from Sylvia as well. Oh, I see many thumbs up from Charmaine. I see you utilize that emoji with the glitter. Christopher, thank you. Beverly, thank you. Thumbs up, thumbs up. But what about if your community wasn't walkable? What about if you saw your community as, you know what, I need to get in and I need to get out? What if you didn't see the beauty in your community? So this past summer, we worked with 4 organizations and 4 different communities in the Bronx. So those communities consisted of Fordham University Heights, Wakefield, Claremont Village, and Westchester Square. In each of those communities, we worked with the organizations, some faith-based and some organizations, nonprofit like BronxWorks, and finding out if their community was walkable and why. Not just from us, but from the stakeholders' perspective. In addition to that, we also worked with city agencies, the Department of Transportation, Department of Parks, and the Department of City Planning to assess each of these communities, diving into a community assessment module that looked at health equity, policy, and community. So with the walking audit, what does it mean? So what I'm going to do is just share my screen. And I'm going to show you pictures and things along the way as it relates to our walking audit. So we'll start there. So this is one picture sharing in terms of what a community in Claremont Village, very close to Bible Church of Christ, what they experience on their walk. What they experience is seeing debris. What they experience is graffiti, tangled wires. What they experience are uneven sidewalks. So for them, it is not a community that they want to walk in. In another one of our communities, along Westchester Square with Bible Church of Christ, I'm just going to pull that up. We did a walking audit with them, and they were able to go through exactly what they see. And so from overgrown weeds to fire hydrants that are covered by the overgrown weeds to this is a park along the walking route where the rubber surface is being raised and the park has not been tended to. In addition to that, there's a borderline between what was art and what is graffiti. And I wanted to show a video, but I'm gonna stop sharing because the video is not coming up. But it also showed some tangled wire as well. So a lot of this was in the walking audit that we did in each of our communities. Some of the other things that we noted during the walking audit was everything from the streets where the sidewalks were narrow, the sidewalks were uneven, there were scooters and e-bikes assessing the sidewalks, there was a lack of adequate street lighting, there was noise pollution, air pollution, unsafe crosswalks, and overall physical safety. In other words, some of our participants felt that there was going to be more harm done to them just to be able to do leisure walking. So again, for them, walking was not a good experience and is not a good experience in their community. So those are some of the challenges. So what we did was we not only surveyed the community, but we decided to think about, well, what is it that BronxWorks and our other organizations can do so that they can sustain their walking program and bring more awareness? So we did some asset mapping. In each of the communities, we did asset mapping that allowed us to see what businesses, what city agencies, what parks, all of these that the community has access to, and who could we bring in to support the community. So along with the walking audit, we did the asset mapping and we actually did the walk. So with the walk, it created community. And with that community, we were able to, and I know not everyone is on camera, but we can hear you. But I'm just going to do a drum roll. Chris Belly, my BronxWorks team, maybe you can come off camera and you can, so that people can hear. With these organizations, we did a total of 139 miles. That's 139 miles. Now, the goal with some of the organizations like BronxWorks was, can we cover entire marathon, which is 26.2 miles, through walking collectively? We exceeded that not only with BronxWorks, but with the other organizations we work with. What made this successful is that, and I heard it earlier, I believe from Jarrell, that we're meeting the organizations where they are. So we had to look at the organization's capacity. We had to take safety in consideration. We had to be able to make sure that the routes were not only safe, but it was also during a time when our participants felt comfortable. And so we did that. So to be able to cover, I'm excited just because I was excited then. This is the energy I carry all day and all night. So I was excited because organizations like BronxWorks really took the time to figure out, how do we meet the community where they are, and how do we also assure that our goal was their goal. So I'm going to pass it over to the BronxWorks team so they could talk a little bit about the dynamic work that they did. And if they miss anything, because I want to give them their flowers too, they really went all in. If you could think about your favorite food and all of the seasoning, BronxWorks was the seasoning to be able to make this perfect. Take it away, BronxWorks.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jairi. I'm a nutrition educator with BronxWorks SnapEd. And then we have Chris Belly, our nutrition assistant with BronxWorks SnapEd. You may ask why we chose the name the Bronx Walks. And in thinking about it, we figured, like, we do walk, right? We walk to run errands, or should I say walk errands. We walk to clear our mind or relieve stress, which was reported from a lot of our walkers, to exercise, or just a change of scenery, and also just to connect with other community members. Next slide. So our first year in 2023, last year, our goal was to increase access to food. And so we created a walking route that connected to a nearby farm stand. And we built interest through our internal networks, specifically the BronxWorks Morris Older Adult Center. And as you can see by the face on the screen, it was filled with a lot of like worry, anxiety about whether this walking club would be successful. But with the support of Marlena and her team in equity design, this year, we built a lot of confidence and just connection with our walkers. And we mostly focused on assessing our walking route with through the walking audit. And in the walking audit, we collected feedback on just the overall safety of the route, any feelings that participants or walkers felt in walking through the community, and just the environment overall. So looking into year 3, Marlena and her team did a really great job at, like, hey, we're not using the word can't, because we can and we will. And that's the energy that we're bringing into the coming year. So I'm going to pass it on to Chris Belly in the next slide, who's going to talk about the walking route and the impact of this walking club.
Okay, so in this walking route, it was a total of 1 mile. So we started off at, excuse me, the Morris Heights Older Adult Center, and then we made our first stop at Welton Playground. So we were also big about making sure we're activating the green spaces and making sure that they're accessible to the community. Then we looped around and we visited the farm stand at many times. So we also wanted to make sure, because we were with older adults, we want to make sure that we have enough rest stops and that the walk was, of course, walkable. And then we ended again back at the older adult center. Next slide. Okay, so talking a little bit more about the process. So we identified our goals. So definitely connecting the walkers to food resources. So being able to connect with the Morris Heights farm stand was great. And also yes, and then also, of course, increasing physical activity in the Bronx. With choosing our demographic, we knew that one of our BronxWorks sites that was near us was the Morris Heights Older Adult Center. And then, of course, we completed the walking assessment and walking audit. We mapped out our walking routes, and we were able to build momentum with the walks. So by wearing the t-shirts, we were able to, thanks to Bronx Health Reach and Equity Design, we were able to also design our own t-shirts and get to them, and making sure that the walks are consistent. And then we also plan for our walks in our town hall, which we'll hear more about in a few slides. So go to the next slide. So talking a little bit about our impact. So first with health, we wanted to make sure that we know the importance of walking and physical activity, and we also mixing that with community was very important, because we also hear that a lot of the older adults didn't feel safe in their community to walk. So being able to provide and facilitate this group where they can walk together, they felt more comfortable as a group, to the point that they, even when we weren't there helping facilitate or equity design, they were also able to do self-led walks. So in total, this year, we did 13 walks, and 7 of those walks was self-led by the participants. So that definitely goes into the sustainability part of it. They understood the importance, the need of it, and they were able to, even when we weren't there, continue that. So here are some lovely pictures of us. One of the things we did at the parks with Equity Design, they're really great with activities. So we were able to do a lot of activities with them, as well as one of our big partners was Morris Heights Health Center, which is along the route, and they attended a few routes as well. Yes, next slide.
So in our walking audit, we followed the same route, and we made a few stops and to check in with the walkers and see what they noticed. And these are just some pictures showing that. You can go on to the next slide. We did notice some water waste from an open fire hydrant that made it difficult to continue the route. And you can see from the photos that some folks had to cross the sidewalk a little early and walk around the cars in order to cross the street. Next slide. And these are other photos. You see cracked and unleveled streets, trash on the sidewalks, some cars parked on some sidewalks, and also dog waste. And next slide. We decided to include some powerful quotes from the participants themselves that really speak to just how we can improve our community. And it includes, I don't feel safe, but I try not to think about it. There's no investment in the community in respect to the beautification of this neighborhood. And why can't we have that here? Next slide. So in collecting this feedback from the walking audit, We co-created some solutions together and just reimagining what we wanted the university in Fordham Heights neighborhood to look like. And that's what we did in our first town hall meeting that happened this year in October. Next slide. And as Morlena would say often, this isn't your regular town hall meeting. So you see photos here. We were warming up. Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson was able to join us and warm up with us. You also see Emma there having some fun with us. You can go on to the next slide. And before we co-created solutions together, we decided to leave our grievances on the wall. So there are just some photos here. Next slide. And we focused on improving the infrastructure, the physical structure of the community, and also opportunities for physical activity programming. So this is just a list, including bike lanes, repair the sidewalks, having more housing for homeless, cleaning up garbage on the sidewalks. And then for physical activity, you see potlucks, arts and crafts, domino tournaments, and more. Next slide. And then holding ourselves accountable and taking responsibility of these changes. This is just a list of ideas we came up with, talking to each other, doing monthly cleanups, having block leaders, getting children involved, and so on. Next slide. There we go.
Miss Belly, you're muted. You're talking, but you're muted.
Sorry about that. So one of our goals for next year, going over what Marlena was talking about, definitely using the asset map that they helped create to help increase partnerships for the walk in the community. We also want to focus on 2 action items, definitely related to what the findings were in not just the walking audit, but the town hall and the accountability that the community came up with. And then we also want to continue walks and encourage more self-led walks, and definitely provide any technical support, any data needed, and hopefully in the future partnering with other BronxWorks sites, and so that they can also kind of teaching them how they can also lead their own walks as well at other sites in the Bronx. Yes. Then thank you so much. We have our emails if you have any further questions, and thank you.